and what has been happening in the transfer window so far. So far, so good. Manchester United, with the signings that you made, I think it is quite commendable. I did not expect this kind of interaction or this kind of followers or this kind of players being Manchester United being able to get these players, especially when just before the transfer window, talks were all over the internet about Manchester United not having the enough money or enough funds to be able to sign players. But shock on us, Benjamin Sesko came to Manchester United. I read a tweet somewhere or in X, somebody saying, "How can a broke club be able to buy these kind of players?" Well, you have to ask that question to the management because I was also duped. Because if you start to calculate the amount of money that you spent in this transfer window, it will just clearly tell you that above all the regulations that the transfer market has, and what we should be pertaining or what we should be perceiving as fans and as people as a whole, is that Manchester United cannot afford that. Over 75 million pounds for Benjamin Sesko, 65 million pounds plus add-ons for Cunha, 65 also million pounds plus add-ons for Belmo. So calculations of that is maybe 65 plus 65, 10, 1, 6, 12, 13. Yeah, maybe that is 130 million pounds. Yeah? To be just sincere, 130 million pounds plus 75 million pounds, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's over 210 million pounds or 220 million pounds spent in this transfer window, which clearly does not make sense. According to me, a club that does not have money should not spend that kind of amount in the transfer fee. But let us go straight into the talk about what is it about. It was clear about Liverpool. Yes, people are asking questions why Liverpool is spending that kind of money in the transfer market. Yeah, over 300 million pounds in the transfer market. And there's only one thing that I can tell you is last season when Arne Slot came in Liverpool, they did not have he was not able to sign players, right? He was not able to sign players, but when Arne Slot came in after Jurgen Klopp, Jurgen had already bought players into the team, so hence this made it easier for Arne Slot to pick up from where Jurgen Klopp had left the team. So that's why Arne Slot is able to make that kind of transfers. All right, that's why he's able to. That's why he's able to buy players like Isaac. He's able to buy players like Eketike, and not just players with little money, but the kind of transfer fees that is being negotiated in this kind of situations is so large. All right, let us talk about the signing of Alexander Isak. All right, most of us thought that Alexander Isak is going to be a fairly expensive player, right? But on the other hand, according to Liverpool spending and the rules in the transfer market, they have the right to acquire that player with more than 150 million pounds. I guess, right? Because when you are, according to Fabrizio Romano and all the transfer news in X and YouTube, Sky Sports, all are saying that Isaac is worth Liverpool have submitted a bid of 150, yeah, 150 million pounds for for Isak of Newcastle United. Okay, on my own, I think that Liverpool signing Isak is going to be a big deal. Just imagine that forward, Isak. Mosala is in that team. Ekitike is in that team. Um, Gravenbach is in that team. You see, this is the kind of players or the kind of quality that you need to have in the Premier League for you to win the Premier League. So this deal done for Isak is quite impressive. They are going to be lethal. In fact, I'm going to add Isak in my fantasy Premier League, and we'll see what will happen next. On the other hand, Manchester United, we are performing quite better. I'll not conform to the ideology of the tabloids, the ideology of the media outlets. I'm not conforming to that, dictating that Manchester United is not a team that is in the build-up, all right? I mean, there's an agenda. There's a typical clear agenda in Manchester against Manchester United. Let us take this for example. Thank you for coming in and subscribe as we continue. Let us take this for example. Manchester United, when we lost against Arsenal, it was all over the tabloids. Every negative insults against Ruben Amorim, against the team, that this is not the quality Manchester United should be playing in. But we drew against Fulham, then it was all over the news. Oh, Amorim out. He's not the right manager for Manchester United. Yeah, and all that. But came to when we won against Burnley and the celebration that Bruno Fernandes celebrated and the team celebrated, again, the media was against that. The media was saying, why are the Manchester United players celebrating against a team that has been newly promoted, that does not build character and whatnot? But as for me, I'll tell them, why did they not go for Hansi Flick's team? The way they came back from a team that has been recently promoted, Levante. I watched that game, and Levante were 2-0 up. Then Barcelona came and scored 3-2, and they came back, right? Why did the tabloids, why did the media outlets or the Western media outlets come after Hansi Flick? But when Manchester United when Manchester United gets a comeback from Burnley, they now perceive that Manchester United is not a good team and they should not celebrate it. I have many examples, even when Napoli also scored that goal and they celebrated as if they have won the Champions League. Why did the media outlets just focus on Manchester United? This just tells you one thing. We are hated, we are adored by some people, but we are never, ever, never recognized, because they'll always talk about us. And my message to the Manchester United team and my message to the Manchester United fraternity is that keep up, continue pushing. There is no other way that you can put it, you know. These media outlets are put there to put pressure on the manager. They are there to put pressure on the players. So there's only one thing that you can do. If you're a player or a manager, you just ignore them. I know especially in England, it is very hard, very, very. I'm sorry about that. The internet had gone for a little bit, so let us continue. As I was saying, if you are a Manchester United supporter, if you are a Manchester United fan, and above all the club at large, they should just continue focusing on the rebuilding of the team. All right, nothing else, nothing more. Just focus on how you'll be able to make those players feel at home, how you'll be able to make those players in Manchester United create a community. All right, we are not. I don't want this kind of behavior that our players have been having. This kind of behavior, players like Jadon Sancho, players like Garnacho, players like Marcus Rashford. You know, Manchester United, I think it is time to create a kind of environment, a community for us as fans a community for players to have a safe place where they can portray their talent. All right. For example, let us try and talk about Joshua Zaxi, right? Joshua Zaxi last season was booed off out of the pitch by none other than us as supporters. Yeah, I know. Even if when you go and watch my channel, you'll see I usually talk about things that are concerning Manchester United, and I also take the blame because most of the time I really go against the team. But if you're a fan of Manchester United, I think you'll understand why I get mad or why people get mad uh, at Manchester United. So as for now, let me end that live. Right now, my phone is shutting down, and subscribe and continue supporting and tell your friends about my channel. Till next time, peace out. Okay, okay. Okay.